Your gas price and the price of oil are not telling the same story. This week proves it. Gas, meanwhile, is still sitting at $3.85 a gallon, roughly 30% higher than the week before this war ever started. Oil crashed from a war peak of $120.88 a barrel down to $71. Then, renewed strikes sent it right back up, and this morning it surged again. Brent now near $79, after Iran announced it had closed the Strait of Hormuz entirely. President Trump has said the number should be $2.25. It isn't close. The Department of Justice is actively investigating whether that gap between crude and the pump is illegal price gouging. The oil industry's answer is simpler. It's just how supply chains work. Here's what actually complicates both arguments. Weekly gasoline demand just fell from over 9 million barrels a day to under 8.9 million. Supply is down too. Saudi Arabia has already pushed its own exports back to roughly 90% of pre-war levels, using routes that avoid the strait entirely. And the International Energy Agency itself has warned that a prolonged conflict could delay the entire global effort to rebuild oil inventories later this year. So the surface story, oil crashed, gas didn't, isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. Neither side selling you an answer actually explains where the missing money goes while that gap plays out. Only who to blame for it. By the end, you'll have to decide, is this gap a supply chain reality or an unaccountable profit hiding in plain sight? That's exactly what the next two parts are going to prove. Here's the mechanism neither side actually explains. Start with the study. A 2021 academic paper in the Journal of International Money and Finance measured exactly how a crude price move reaches the pump. 13% within 1 week, 37% within 3 months, 50% over a longer horizon. That lag is documented, not a talking point. It isn't illegal, but whoever is holding older, higher-cost inventory profits from every single day the lag lasts. Then there's the license. Weeks ago, the U.S. granted Iran the legal right to sell oil on the world market as part of the peace deal. This week, that license was revoked overnight, a real financial weapon deployed the same day as military strikes. Then there's the strait itself. Before this war, up to 140 ships a day moved through the Strait of Hormuz. This week, on some days, as few as 13 vessels made the crossing in 24 hours. Iran didn't need to sink a single ship to control that number. It just made passage conditional, and shipping insurers responded by pricing war risk premiums several times higher than normal. Qatar, hit directly for the first time since the ceasefire, paused its own effort to restart the world's largest LNG export facility. Underneath all of it sits a number almost nobody's covering. Refineries are running at 96.6% utilization, processing over 17 million barrels a day just to keep up. Gasoline inventories sit 7% below their 5-year average. Distillate stocks, the diesel and heating oil that move the rest of the economy, sit 8% below average too. And America's own emergency oil reserve just fell to 319.5 million barrels, the lowest level since 1983. The Reagan administration, when this economy was a fraction of its current size. President Trump himself has acknowledged that anytime the U.S. strikes Iran, oil prices jump. The head of the American Petroleum Institute has said the reserve's decline is a reason to, quote, raise alarm bells. Everyone is covering the missiles. Almost nobody is covering the ledger underneath them. This isn't the first time a war has moved oil faster than it moved gas at the pump. It's the pattern nearly every modern oil shock follows. The 1973 embargo, the 2008 spike and crash, the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. The mechanism repeats. Only the names change. And this time, the supply side is already adjusting underneath the headlines. The UAE pushed crude production to a record high last month. Saudi Arabia is offering rare discounts to reclaim market share now that the strait has partially reopened. That's real competition working exactly as it's supposed to, quietly pulling prices back down even while the war above the surface keeps escalating. Two real deadlines are still ahead. August 16th is when the ceasefire's 60-day window to reach a permanent deal closes. July 17th is when Iran's temporary right to sell oil, revoked this week, formally expires, unless it's restored again. This morning, that same uncertainty played out in real time. Iran announced it had closed the Strait of Hormuz entirely. The U.S. disputed it within hours, insisting the strait remains open. Both statements can't be true. Nobody outside a small circle in Washington and Tehran actually knows which one is. So which is it? A system working exactly as designed, prices absorbing a shock the way markets are supposed to? Or one that nobody left in Washington or Tehran is actually steering, propped up only by a reserve that's now the thinnest it's been in over 40 years? A. The mechanism is working as intended, someone profits, that's simply how markets absorb a shock. B. Nobody's actually in control anymore, and the reserve number proves it. Comment A or B. This has been a Sovereign Special Report. Full documentary every Thursday. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss one.